I need to build a stand for my post hole digger so that it's not lying on its side on the floor of the barn, and also it'll help with putting on and taking it off the tractor as well. So I hadn't even gotten to the drawing board when I realized there was a flaw in my idea, my original idea. So I thought I could have this bottom hoop here just sit down on something and then support the gearbox as well, and then realized that it's a pin in here, it's hinged, and it's just going to want to fall over even if that gearbox is supported, because that gearbox also has a pivot on it, so that's not going to work. I would say back to the drawing board, except I never got there in the first place. So I'm thinking instead I'll have supports on both sides of here in the front, and that'll run a pin or a rod or something through this hole to hold up the front side. And then on the back side, same idea, have supports on both sides, but instead support the boom instead of supporting it by the gearbox. That'll probably be better. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do it yet because I'm making this up as I go along. This is the base here, and I've got these legs sticking out to the side. I guess I'm going to call them outriggers for now, for lack of a better term, and then I'm going to add the uprights, the towers on both sides to support the front and back. I'm probably going to end up taking this thing apart and making some adjustments, putting it back together, and so for now I'm just holding it together with these deck screws, and then when everything is final, the configuration anyway, then I'll go back and replace them with some lag bolts. Progress so far, I don't know what I'm going to do up here yet, whether I'm going to slide something in underneath to support it, or suspend it from the top possibly. For the front side, I've got these towers also with a hole drilled through here, and I'm just going to run a piece of rebar all the way through, and then that should support the front end. I need to move this outside. It's probably where I'm going to end up storing it. And I think I may have inadvertently designed this so that it can carry itself, I think. Because this piece of rebar is through here, if I lift the implement with the 3-point, it should lift the entire stand. However, if I do lift this as is, just from that front, I know it's going to skew itself. So I think I'm going to need to add some cross bracing to be sure that it doesn't matchbox essentially. So I'll go ahead and add something. Doesn't have to be anything big. I think I got some 1x2 that'll work in here. So here's the 1x2s added. This thing's getting uglier all the time. But function is the most important part. Aesthetics are secondary, or maybe even tertiary, or don't really matter at all, actually. So I figured out how to support the top side here, just using some of these brackets here. These are used for like the barricaded door with the 2x4. But this way I can just remove this when I need to pull this out, and of course it'll be out when I pull post hole digger back in and then slide this in, and now that supports. It's you know, inexpensive, very simple. Of course, only after that I designed and built this thing did I go out on the internet and do some research, because I was looking to see if there was something commercially available. I found this, but it looks a little rickety maybe, and it's $85 plus shipping. The Google results brought up more custom-made stands than commercially available stands. Apparently, building your own PhD stand is all the rage, which is something else I learned, that PhD in tractor talk means post hole digger. It doesn't mean a doctorate. You know, PhD is an abbreviation, could also be called an initialism, but it's not an acronym. That word is too often used incorrectly. So here's a real quick language lesson. An abbreviation is a shortening of a word or phrase, written and or spoken in its shortened form. An initialism is an abbreviation that uses the first letter of each word in a phrase. Acronyms are initialisms that create another word, such as scuba or NASA, or one of my favorites that might not actually really be a thing.
I bet those cops have got SCMODS.
SCMODS?
State, County, Municipal Offender Data System.
And for you NASCAR fans, by the way, NASCAR is also an acronym, Danica. Hence, all acronyms are abbreviations, but not all abbreviations are acronyms. Therefore, the lesson here is don't use the word acronym when you mean abbreviation. So with that out of the way, let's get back to the PhD stands. There's this, which I never really would have thought of, because I guess it's kind of akin to storing your hand drill with a bit in it and sticking it in a hole in the wall. This is kind of nice. Looks like you roll this in from the side and unhook it, and then you can just kind of roll it back out of the way. Not something I can do. My metal fabrication skills are lacking. I guess this is kind of similar to the one I made, minus the front support, and it's also more permanent. You can't beat this one for simplicity. So after using this a few times to put my post hole digger on and off the tractor, I learned that this support here is actually not really necessary. I can pull this out and it'll pretty much stay balanced on this top support on the boom right here. And as a matter of fact, when hooking it up, I don't even have this in because it just restricts movement. I can't really move this around too far to align it with the tractor. And of course the bottom pivot is, the bottom hoop here is free to pivot, so that makes hookup easier. So yeah, I just have this in here for long-term storage, make sure it's just stable and nothing knocks it off. Of course, if I ever change the bit, I'll make sure to have that in. Otherwise, this is going to become very unbalanced, and you know, it might even just kind of slide off the back side. But overall, less than, I don't know, 5 minutes to hook it up and 5 minutes to unhook it now. So it sure beats wrestling this thing off the floor or off the ground to try to hook it up. And I can do it by myself.